Zealand's motorcycle heritage, brought to you by Classic Motorcycles.
It was nothing to. The family weren't really into motorbikes. My dad rode one for about 100 metres in the army to get his licence, and that was it. But my grandfather had about 9 bikes in the army, old army Indians and things, so he obviously had an interest. But when I was about 10 years old, some friends of mine had these little YZ80 motocross bikes, so I'd ride them a little bit in the weekends. And really, when I was about 12, I'd saved up enough money to buy a motocross bike. But Mum and Dad said the motorbike's far too dangerous, you can't have one. So I was a bit upset about that, but when I was 15 I bought one anyway and left it at a friend's place. And by the time I was 18 I bought and sold about 20 bikes, just wanting to get, better ones, different ones. When I was 15 I had a Suzuki GT380 road bike. That was my first road bike. I bought for $250 and did it up and sold it for about $750, which that was the only one I made money on. And when I was 18 I started racing. Well, I'd been to watch a race at Pukekohe. There's Robert Holden and Mike Webb and Bob Toomey and stuff on their 250 production bikes. So I bought a 250 production bike because I knew potentially you could race it. So it was a little KR 250 Kawasaki, and I used to ride it to work and back into Tech. I did a New Zealand Certificate of Engineering in Auckland, and a friend of mine in class, he was riding to bikes, he had an RZ350, and we went to the go-kart track a couple of times and just go round and round and round and get the feel of it. And went down to Hamilton to the road race meeting around the lake there, and I kind of thought, a few guys at the back there, I could probably hang with them alright. And I entered a race at Pukekohe, a club round, a little club circuit. I just joined the club on the day and put 2 bits of tape down the fairing for number 11, and I took the mirrors off and off I went. And I was about third in my first race, but pretty hooked on it from then on. Went on and did the whole winter series. And
So the bike you rode to work was the bike you raced?
Yeah.
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
In the following year I got a TZR 250 and did the 250 production series, and then the following year I got another guy who worked at my father's work as a truck driver. He bought an FZR 1000, but Kungaford, and he used to ride it to work and let me race it in the weekends. We went halves in it, so I raced it in the weekends. So lucky I didn't fall off it. So, and I used to do every race I possibly could. I'd go to every club round I could, every meeting I could. I'd spend everything I had, from my day at work, which I was only on about $7.50 an hour then, but it just all went into the racing. There was I'd find the money somehow to do it. And on the 250, I remember I'd enter 250 production, junior production, and Formula 2. So it's 3 races a class, so it's 9 races, and then I'd enter senior production and Formula 1 on the 1000. And yeah, it just came a time where I just clicked, and I just got everything fell into place, and I just started feeling much better on the bike, and I was away. Neville Algie he wanted to do the 6 hour on his Yamaha 1000, and he asked me if I'd team up with him. He ended up losing the front as soon as he hit the brakes at the end of the straight at Manfield into the sweeper, and he launched off the banking, and the bike just clipped the top of the corrugated iron fence, and it disappeared out into the scrub. And Dennis Neville was like a rag doll. He hit the fence and dropped on the ground, and he chipped a bone in his neck, I think, so he had a neck brace on and he couldn't ride, and he's the crew chief. And I rode with another guy, Jeff McLaren, and in the first hour I remember the steering gear was real loose on the bike. It had undone itself, so it was clunking backwards and forwards about nearly 2 inches from pulling it out. It steepened up the steering on the brakes turning in, but I couldn't move off the seat going all the way down the straight. It would get into a huge wobble if I just slightly moved my body. But I caught up to Aaron Slight, he's on the Yamaha 1000, and Bob Toomey's on the Suzuki 1100. And I passed them both under brakes going into turn 1. This is towards the end of the first hour, and got in front of them. And Murray Carter from Shanton Clothing back then, he was in the stand, I think, and he called me up at work the next day and said, I believe you can go a long way in racing, and do you want to come and see me? And so I went to his 12th story floor apartment in Remuera, and he gave me a bit of money to go do the series, and he lent us his Shanton truck. And also Murray also organised for me to go and race the Suzuka 8 Hour with Graham Crosby, which was an amazing eye-opener for me, because it was all, the top GP riders were there, and Rainey and Swants and Doohan and Gardner, and that was a big year onto the international scene. And then from doing that 8 hour in Japan, Morinaga, who was running the Super Angel team, Yamaha team that Mick Doohan rode for in 87, Aaron rode for in 88, he came out to New Zealand to see who he's going to get to ride for him for 89 when I was doing that Castrol 6 hour. I was riding with Aaron Slight that year actually, and he asked me to come and race for him in Japan, which was the first. I was getting paid for it too, which is, the first, which is like a dream come true. I didn't think I'd make a career out of motorcycle racing, but I was always pretty hopeful. 91, I took my bike to Australia to try and impress at the Eastern Creek 500 GP that was there. So I went in the Superbike support race and I qualified pole position. And then I missed the start and caught up from 75th down up to just behind second place with 2 laps to go, and Aaron Slight was leading it, and the oil filter unscrewed and I went end for end, and was famous on TV for a few years. Yeah, I just did a World Superbike round at Manfield. Must have been 91, was it? Was it 1 in 91? And John came up to me afterwards the afternoon and said he liked the lines I was taking and things. He told me about this bike he was building, and he wanted to take it to Daytona, but I didn't really show much interest. I wanted to do 500 GPs or World Superbikes, and I didn't see how a homemade bike in New Zealand was really going to fit into that. But he asked Chris Haldane to ride it, and Chris had agreed, and I went to Ruapuna when Chris first rode it. I was with him, and the front end snapped off it, and Chris came down off a wheelie and he broke his collarbone, and he didn't want to ride it. So John asked me if I would race it at Daytona, and I wasn't too sure about it really. But I went back to the workshop and checked out the part that broke, and John made it in the carbon fibre wishbone that sheared off. He made it in pretty solid cast aluminium, but there's still lots of little bits on the bike which looked pretty fragile, and I wasn't, because he wanted to make everything so light. In Daytona's 300 kilometres an hour around the banking, and but I said yes. I wanted to make it overseas, and I was at a bit of a loose end, and I thought if I can impress some of the big American teams, I'll go and do it. But it was an amazing thing to be part of, really. Out of everything I've done in racing, the Britain's the one that kind of stands the test of time, and it's a legendary machine. Not only in New Zealand, it's getting more and more worldwide recognition all the time. So I didn't really get much practice because it cracked the cylinder liner pretty well straight away in practice. It overheat, I couldn't do more than 2 laps in a row pretty much. So I qualified way back. I was 10 seconds off pole position, which was Pascal Picot on the Fast by Ferracci Ducati, which was a full factory bike really that had pretty well just won the World Superbike Championship the year before with a massive millions of dollars budget, everywhere from New Zealand, and just no testing, just straight in the crate after it was built pretty much, and 15 laps at Ruapuna. And I said to John, I don't think we've got any chance of really staying up the front here. And he said, yes you can, you can do it, it's alright, you'll be good, we'll come all this way. But he's really encouraging, he knew how to get the best out of people, and when the flag dropped I was just totally into it. I was just fired up to the max, and I was going to hang in there no matter what, and ended up being 0.1 of a second off the outright lap record at Daytona, which Doug Poland had from the year before, and even he was totally excited. He was on pit wall cheering, going, well, what is this thing, And I thought I had Pascal covered, because Britain was a bit faster, especially in the slipstream at Daytona. But the battery just, I think the wires were crossed to the battery, or the rectifier had a problem or something, but it went flat and it started missing and cut out with a couple of laps to go. But still enough to make headlines around the world. Getting on the Britain, I couldn't ride that as hard as I wanted to. I kept asking John to put forks on it instead of the girder front end that was on it, because I could only push that to a certain limit, then it just wouldn't want to go any harder. So I used to think that kind of taught me how to ride a bit slower, getting on the Britain, but you could make up for it in other areas if you had to, you just ride around the issues, and because it was light and it had a lot of power, you just throw it in there anyway and get through, and it's still enough to settle that record at Ruapuna, which lasted for 11 years. I've ridden so many different motorcycles in my time, well over 100. I'm well over 100 circuits around the world. Sometimes I've thought whether I might have ridden on more tracks than anyone else ever has, because I did all the championships that were going on. I did Asia and British Superbikes, World Superbikes, GPs, America. I did that series for a few years, and Macau, Isle of Man. I knew Mark quite well. We used to race together. We did Macau, and we did a trip around Thailand and Indonesia and stuff. And John had actually asked me to ask Mark to ride the bike at the Isle of Man. So I asked Mark, sitting outside a pool in a motel in Indonesia, whether he'd be interested in riding the Britain. And he said, oh, maybe. And he did, ended up, John got in hold of him, and they worked out some kind of deal, and he did the Northwest and then the Isle of Man, and I spent a bit of time with him at the Isle of Man too. We had a great night. He was just cracking up, laughing at me on the dance floor at this place one night, and then on the track, he left the line, and I was behind him on the 600. Came around the corner, and there's a black line with a little hook on it, which is like a high side kind of mark, and I thought, oh, that's a real bad place for something like that to happen, because it's nearly 200 k's probably, and no runoff, and I came around the corner and just spits the Britain all over the track, and I thought, oh, this is serious, and I pulled over, and there's a doctor on scene straight away. It was like a marshal, and he said, oh, I don't think you should go back, it's fatal, and I said, oh, he's a friend of mine, I just want to go and pay my respects anyway, and I went back and he just said, oh, God bless you, Mark, kind of thing, and I had a pretty slow ride back to the pits, and John was seriously cut up about that. He used to get really upset with riders who were injured and he didn't even know them, let alone someone on his own bike. So it was a pretty tough time. The Britain's gone on to inspire hundreds of thousands of people all around the world. And so it's something of high value, really, and sometimes things of great value can come at great cost as well. We had won at Daytona again in '95, and then maybe Thruxton, was it? And then John couldn't come to one of the meetings in Europe because he just felt tired and didn't know why. And I actually told Karen that, my wife now, on the phone. I said, oh, John just said he felt tired. She took him around some flowers, and she arrived with flowers just when he got home from hospital with the news that he had 2 or 3 months to live. And he called me up on the phone and said, Andrew, thank you for the flowers. Karen said these are from Andrew. I just can't believe the timing. I was thinking, what flowers? But he knew I was a Christian. He said, doctors can't do anything for me, but I believe in Jesus Christ. I love people. Can you pray for me or something? And I didn't quite know it helped much, but I put him back onto Karen, and he actually called Karen and said, could you? I know there's more to life. Could you come and read the Bible to me or something? And Karen took an older lady from her church and went and saw John. And you know, I said, what do I want to do, John? He said, I just want to totally give my life to God, you know. I know there's more. And they, you know, prayed for him, and John called me up next day, and he's just so excited. He said, I've just had an amazing experience. I know where I'm going now. You know, if this cancer doesn't get me, I want to be a preacher like Billy Graham or something. I've just been, he said he's been filled with the Holy Spirit, and he said, I'm just beaming, Andrew. He said, I always knew there was more, and I finally found it, and I'm just, you know, so overjoyed. He said, but it's cost me everything to get it.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like his life had to be on its way out before he let it go. But he received so much more, and he was in a great place. I was there the whole week before he passed away. I was at his bedside, you know, and we had some amazing times then too. Yeah, I believe he's in a good place. Oh, it's such an amazing facility, a place there. It's probably the best kept secret in New Zealand at the moment in the motorcycle world. Just yes, so much. All the old classic bikes. It's just like art, really, isn't it? What people's creations have come up with over the years, and just I'm interested in the engineering side of it, and so I do appreciate how a lot of the stuff works. But the depth of the collection is quite phenomenal, really. It's like the Barber Museum in America. This is New Zealand's version down here.